Hi, everyone. So it's Friday again, and last 2 weeks, I recorded this podcast with Steve last Thursday and the Thursday before the last. But this week, we are resuming on Friday, and we are doing the recording on Friday. Today, we're going to talk about movies. Movies is a hot topic that comes up often in the IELTS speaking paper. So I'm sure all of you guys probably want to know more about, and you guys probably want to learn how to talk about movies with native speakers. Whether they are foreigners or expats who live in Hong Kong, you want to be able to talk about movies with them because movies is such a hot topic among native speakers. So many native speakers are into movies as well. Well, I think more native speakers, English native speakers, are probably into movies than locals because locals are often so busy making money and they may not even have the time to go to the theater. And so today we're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about local movies as well as English movies. And I'm going to start the podcast by talking about a genre that I like. So a genre is a type. Well, I think probably for the sake of easy explanation, a genre is a type of movies, a type of art form. Um, so it's a pretty it sounds like a big word, but actually it just means type of movies. I think we can think of it that way. Okay. So I think the first genre that I can think of that I like is romance. I like romantic movies, but it's not like I like overly sweet or saccharine or like um, the male lead talking a bunch of sweet things to the male lead type of movies. I would say I like funny movies where the male lead, where there is a good chemistry between the male lead and the female lead, and that there is a lot of funny banter between the two. So this type of movies is usually what I will go for, especially after a long day of work and I just want to relax. And yeah, I enjoy this type of movies. And I think the second reason that I enjoy this type of movies, is that um, I really enjoy seeing how two people can get closer to each other through funny banter and witty conversations. So I think this is the main reason why I like romantic comedies. I think one prime example is a classic example of romantic comedies that I can think of is Notting Hill. Notting Hill stars Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts. It came out in 1999. I'll see if I'm able to show the poster here. So, yeah, this is what I like, romantic comedies. Do you like romantic comedies? Is there any other type of movies that you like, Steve?
Uh, I actually talk about type of movie. I There's one that I really remember. It's called The Notebook. Do you remember that one?
Yes, I
So
remember the notebook.
yeah, so I remember a scene. So in the movie, we call a section of the story that we call a scene. So the scene that I remember is at the end when both no actually it's at the beginning both old couple an old couple um the I think the wife is on her deathbed means like before she passed away, and the husband is holding her hand next to her, and that was like, to me, that was like, oh my god, happy ever after. That is it, like that scene is it. So and then they go back to the story and tell them how they met. And I think this is the kind of um, love scene that is like, oh wow, wow, they die together. It's like it's very dramatic, but it's very lovely, and it shows us. It's like, wow, this is kind of like what love is about. So you
No,
get
you
to
like
kind of
the
grow
notebook.
old
It's
together.
very interesting. Yeah, the Notebook. I think what's interesting about it is when you first start watching it, you didn't realize that there's a happy ending to the movie. You thought that because the male lead actually comes from a really poor family, and the female lead actually comes from a much more affluent family, a
Yeah.
much more rich and well-off family.
Yeah.
You will think that it's very hard for them to overcome the class differences and end up together. And it turned out that they can end up together and they can overcome the class barriers and they can end up together, which is what makes the movie probably really heartwarming and touching. Sadly, I'm not big on tearjerker. I don't like movies that try to cry. Maybe they are not trying, but I don't usually enjoy movies that
Mhm.
that I feel intentionally are trying to make me cry. I don't
Yeah.
know why. For some
Yeah.
reason, I don't like movies that that sell themselves on being touching. Can you relate to that, Steve?
Sometimes if they don't sell it right, if they're not, if I don't buy the beginning, then I'm same with you. Yeah, they have to sell from the beginning well for me to like really touch by it.
Yeah, very interesting discussion. And
And there's
uh,
another one, is Before Sunrise. Have you
yeah,
seen that one?
I don't
Yeah,
like that one.
you don't like it either. So it's
Yes,
it's the same
I
kind of
know.
thing. Is
I can feel
is
its appeal,
Yeah, it's
but
like how a couple get together, really. Yeah.
yeah, I know where its appeal is coming from. I
Yeah.
can totally relate to people who like it, but at the same time, somehow I am someone who doesn't like it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very weird. I know, but I can totally relate to someone who likes it. I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, very interesting. And there's a you guys like when you are listening to this podcast by me and Steve, right? You probably know that if you've listened to us for a few episodes, you probably know that Steve is a comedian as well, right? And I'm an aspiring comedian. I would say that I'm an aspiring comedian, which means that I'm not a big name right now, but I'm trying to my best to perform better and get an audience. So you may know Wang Ziwa, Dayo Wang, and he once said a joke about I might have digressed a little bit, but I find it to be a very interesting joke made by Wang Ziwa, Dayo Wang. He said 韓劇嗰啲咧好搞笑嘅喎，成日咧我哋睇緊呢套戲，嗰個男女主角啊喺個 sofa 度啊，they're sitting on the sofa and they're watching a movie and 韓國嗰啲戲咧係冇邏輯到一個點咧，唔知點解佢哋睇下戲咧，無端端會有架巴士撞埋嚟，撞死咗個女主角。And 跟住咧，個女主角死咗啦，個男主角咧仲係對佢咧即係終身不渝喎。跟住咧，你咧個男人就會問一句啦：點解睇下電視會有架巴士撞埋嚟嘅？個女人就話啦，就話呢個時候你仲講呢啲，你有冇人性㗎？
That's actually very, very true, very funny, and very true.
Yeah, very, very funny. And what Wang Zihua says, and you want to revisit one of his stand-up comedy shows, you can do so on YouTube, I think. And that's what makes him great, like philosophical, very real, very raw, and at the same time, you see the stark contrast between a rational person and a sentimental person.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
That's
I
very
don't like
true.
I don't like Korean movies somehow. I'm the man.
I think it's funny. I've seen 2 or 3 romantic comedy, but I can never remember any of them. I think it's because it's only for the moment. You give a laugh about it, and then you forget, kind of. I think. To
I think the
me,
good
at least.
ones I think the good ones you will remember them, but you have to like the genre in a way. And
Oh, okay.
there's a very interesting name to the romantic comedy genre. It's called chick flicks. So chick flicks,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
women like. But I actually introduced a few of my favorite romantic comedies to my fiance, to my boyfriend, and he actually is quite into them. And as he grows older, he feels that he likes fluffy and light-hearted type of movies because life is hard enough, right? Sometimes we just want to laugh, and
That's
sometimes
true. That's
romantic
very
comedy
true.
a little bit philosophical, like Wang Jiwa, right?
Yeah,
You feel they are funny, but at the same time they are a little like they touch on reality a little bit, and they are philosophical in a way. That's what I enjoy the most about romantic comedies. So, what do you guys enjoy? Tell us in the comment section. What type of movies do you enjoy? I think the second type of movies that we're going to talk about is a type of movies liked by Steve. Steve is into them. So, do you mind telling us what
all
type
right.
of movies
As you can
you
see, this is a poster of one of the superhero movies from Marvel. I usually like sci-fi, science fiction. So I would say superhero movie is a form of science fiction, and uh, it started from with like comic books, but they have a lot of science fiction element. Because I'm kind of a nerd, so I do like what we could become someday with technology or things like that. So I think it's kind of like the future that I'm seeing that kind of excite me a little bit because I'm kind of into technology. I want to have a better world. And even though we can't do it today, like for example, if you have like a new iPhone, right? You feel something. It's like, oh, there's something, some cool thing I can do with it. I think it's that feeling times many times. I mean, for people like me. I think it gives me and also like superhero movies give me a form of hope. It's kind of like it's also like an entertainment, like that's 2 hours. It gives me a feeling that I can conquer a lot of the world. I can conquer a lot of things, and it gives me this feeling. Bless you, by the way. So it gives me this feeling that I can conquer uh, a lot of not very good thing in life using an imaginary power. So I think that is one reason why a lot of people like superhero movie. And also,
what's
of
your
course, I'm sorry, go ahead.
and also what?
And also, it's exciting. It's exciting, right? Like they hire good-looking people. They have like
Yeah,
a lot of special effects,
there's
and
a lot of
it's very entertaining.
there's a lot of value in fantasizing that you can magically solve all problems. Like
Yeah,
you said,
yeah, exactly.
because like reality often makes us feel so helpless,
Yeah,
and it seems like there's nothing we can do. And superhero movies, in a way, provide some sort of escapism, a means of escapism. We can
yeah,
escape into this perfect world where we can solve any problem and
yeah.
rescue anyone in trouble
And yeah,
with our
and
super.
also I love a saying that a lot of people say our moms are superheroes because they usually they have like especially single mother or single parents. They don't have a lot of resource. They don't have a lot of time, but they have to take care of like 2 or 3 children sometimes, and they are almost like a superhero. It's like you're the underdog. You're trying to conquer a lot of difficulties in life, and you use the same attitude to overcome a lot of things in life. It's just pretty much like a spirit, the spirit of fighting, right? Right? Don't give up. So that's really, I think, the very positive message from a lot of these superhero movies.
I'm trying to like highlight the key phrases in your speech. So What would you say is your favorite superhero movie?
I
Do
think
you have
it's
a
like the
favorite?
Avenger Endgame because they at the end they have all the superhero from Marvel. So you can see one movie has everybody in there. So
Mm,
yeah.
okay. Oh, I wouldn't say I am very familiar with the Marvel movies because I think I only watch one to two. For some reason, I know that many people love the Marvel movies, but for some reason, I just haven't managed to get myself into the
Which one did you
franchise.
see?
I think it's Ant-Man, and
Oh, okay.
I think I also saw the Deadpool one. And
Oh, okay.
for some reason, because the thing is, I'm not a person who is very good at remembering the plot. So when I am trying to start a franchise, I usually feel the need to watch a franchise from the beginning, and that's you can say that's an excuse, like because there are such a lot of characters in Marvel universe, right? Like Black Widow and Thor and Iron Man. I think I watched Iron Man 1 as well, but I often
Was that one
find,
okay?
yeah, what do you, what
Was
did you
that
say?
one okay? Like Iron Man? Was that one okay?
I To me, I will feel that they seem a little cheesy or corny.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
That I mean that's not you're not wrong.
and I know that like romantic comedies can be cheesy and corny as well, but there's there's the corny I like, and that's the corny I don't like somehow. I don't know. Maybe it's because um, I don't I don't feel like seeing myself like wearing the Iron Man suit. Maybe it's
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
not
That's
in.
very true.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because I
Yeah.
see the value in fantasizing that you are him, but somehow I I can't relate to Iron Man that much, and I don't fantasize wearing that suit. But one superhero movie that I like is Batman. I do like Batman,
Oh,
and maybe it's because I feel that Batman is like dark chocolate. It's like he's really dark and he's broody.
actually, Batman is very good. Like especially the latest one. I forgot the name.
Yeah,
They actually
so hard to say. Yeah,
made it like an actual movie. So you
yeah,
don't
it's
have
very
to like Batman. You don't have to like the plot, all that stuff. But it's actually a good movie.
Yeah, and I especially like the Christopher Nolan trilogy, Batman trilogy. I really loved them. One of my favorite
Yeah.
movies is actually Batman Begins, and um, I love his coming of age story. His coming of age story means 佢點樣成長嘅, yeah, and I
Yes.
love the story behind how a ordinary man or a twisted ordinary man grows up becoming a superhero and how he overcomes his fears. And I love stories like that. I feel that certain Spider-Man movies are okay, certain Superman
Yeah.
movies are okay-ish, but my favorite still remains to be Batman because I think he's such a strong character with the help of Joker, such a strong villain, and I love characters. I'm just not big on plot, you know.
Actually, you're correct. Because um, Marvels they're becoming more and more cheesy. And DC is the other genre, the other group that you like, Batman, and so their theme is dark, so-called darker, but their story is more sophisticated. So they have a lot of stories about how the character become who they are. So I actually agree with you. DC on the DC side, so DC is I forgot the full name
DC
is
Comics? Well, I don't know the full name anyway.
yeah, yeah. So Marvels versus DC. So this is how we say it in the comic book world in America.
Yeah, very
Uh,
interesting.
Yeah, and so I think your feeling is totally understandable. I actually feel you sometimes.
But there are times when I feel that I shouldn't say something bad about Marvel movies because it will sound like I'm snobbish and close-minded. I
No,
try
no,
to
no, you're not. You're fine. You're fine.
do try to, watch
Yeah,
Marvel
yeah,
movies, but sometimes
yeah.
I just feel they're too cheesy. Too
I
cheesy.
know they are
No.
actually becoming more cheesy, and actually the good ones they focus on the TV show now because TV show they have streaming.
What about Star
Streaming is
Wars? You like Star Wars?
I like some of them, and the latest one are not that good. So the good ones, a lot of good TV show or a lot of good show are moving into TV. So movies is more, like like we said, cheesy. Movie become more cheesy. So the good plot and the good story they move on to the TV shows.
And one very interesting thing that I might want to mention here is I'm actually into Star Trek as well.
Oh really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, Steve may not know this, but I actually finished the original Star Trek, the
Oh
entire
wow.
the entire I think like 4 to 5 seasons. I don't remember the number of seasons, but the one that stars William Shatner as James Kirk. And I also almost finished TNG, the new uh, yeah, the one starring Patrick Stewart as Picard. Yeah, and I really love how philosophical Star Trek is, um, and the plot is also really intriguing, and it hooks you into like watching on as well. And there are so many interesting characters, like interesting alien characters that you are excited to explore one after another, like by watching each one of the episodes. And I can imagine that a child who can watch Star Trek episodes with his or her dad or mom, wow, I think that's such bliss. And I really envy someone who can watch like Star Trek episodes with his or her parents. My parents feel that Star Treks are super boring. Like my dad, boring, which I understand, right? 好神怪啊！呢啲都唔知講乜啊！啲怪獸唔知做乜嘢。 Very interesting, right?
That's
Do you
very true.
have
Uh,
you ever got into?
I'm not into Star Trek. I think I'm too late when I caught on to a lot of these sci-fi, and there. So I feel like I'm not. I don't feel like I'm on the ship with them. I can't
Yeah,
get into the ship with them. I think
yeah,
that's
I
my
totally
problem.
understand that. Jump on the bandwagon or like
Yeah,
jump on the ship.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like me and Marvel. Like, but I think if you are a nerdy person, if you are a geek, once you get into the Star Trek world, I think you will somehow love it. I think so. Yeah. So like get into it one day. Yeah. If you
Yeah.
are into
So what
sci-fi.
other film do you like? What other genre do you like?
Oh, I like a lot of them, but I think we probably don't have the time to cover other genres other than romantic comedies and sci-fi, which we have talked a lot about already. So I think we can probably go on to move on to talk about a person and a director both of us know and both of us are probably pretty familiar with. And he was, maybe he's retired now, we don't know. He is still alive, like well and alive. And he is actually one of the most famous Hong Kong movies directors, Stephen Chow, right? Steve and I, both of us have watched a number, well, probably not all of them, not for me, but we have watched a lot of Stephen Chow's work, right? And Steve is a comedian. I'm an aspiring comedian, so we can probably talk about Stephen Chow today. Uh, any thoughts on Stephen Chow, Steve? But
I
by the way,
think yeah.
you
Go
you
ahead.
just
Go
have to say,
ahead.
so it's pretty like hard to. It's a mouthful to say what do you think of Stephen Chow's movie, Steve? Because Steven, are you named Steve?
I think
Steve?
I think Stephen Chow, in our era, I think the last 15, 20 years, Chinese speaking movie, there aren't a lot of characters who start from a low place, like who start from a humble beginning. And that's how we start loving his characters in movies. It's not just because it's funny. The funny helps, but funny, and also you're an underdog, an
Yeah,
underdog in the society. I think that's how a lot of us fell in love with those characters. Because I remember when I was younger, when he had like dosing, the god of gambler. Is
yeah,
that
God,
the
yeah,
English name? Yeah.
exactly.
So in those series, the character that came out as, oh, I'm already very smart. I'm already very good at what I do. But Stephen Chow's character and his uncle, both of them are very stupid, and they made a lot of mistakes. And for some reason, all the yeah, and also I think we're back to that topic that the character doesn't give up. For example, they want to win over a girl, right? Or they want to win some money. They don't give up. They persist. They persist. And then it's the persistence, and with a bunch of lucks and stupid story that they run into, it's a journey for an underdog to succeed. I think that was the message that really helps Stephen Chow's stories.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure if this was something I read somewhere. Like Stephen Chow's characters in these movies are like Wei Xiaobo in some way. Okay? Like he achieved success, but he achieved success by being savvy and smart, and like he doesn't achieve this the success by actually arguably not by working hard, but by being
Yeah,
smart, by being very lucky and street smart. Of course, he's usually smart in these movies, and he's also very
yeah,
witty. But
yeah,
it's not like he sells the value of hard work, because like 香港人 like is known to be someone who loves 走精面. They love not putting in the hard work, but somehow by fluke you uh, you manage to achieve success.
yeah.
Actually a darker. That's actually
Yeah.
a darker
And
interpretation.
since you mentioned this, I think his movie reflects the spirit of Hong Kongers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
好 witty 好醒目. I think
醒目.
that's yeah, a lot of people from other countries or other places who work with Hong Kongers, they have the same kind of comment. It's 香港人好醒目.
I think that's a bright side to 醒目. Like it can be a compliment, but at the same time, it can be uh, uh, um, a criticism, right?
It's a
Like
double-edged sword, right?
it's 醒目 means that if you work smart, not hard, maybe that's good. But you have to work hard plus smart, right? So I think 醒目 and 走精面世界仔
Yeah,
it has to be
yeah,
coupled with 獅子山精神, maybe I don't know. Like
yeah.
I genuinely feel so, because you guys are probably when you're listening to this show, you probably know that I'm a hard worker, and I don't believe that anything worthwhile can be achieved by like just 醒目. Being
Yeah,
born
yeah.
smart is not enough. But very interesting. I still find Stephen Chow's movies to be very interesting because they are so funny, and sometimes they are painfully funny because they are realistic as well. But I sometimes do not appreciate the message that 走精面 can lead you to success.
So
Yeah.
so I think there's one that is actually his best. 叫《西遊記》啊.
Oh,
Do
I
you remember
haven't
that
watched
one?
that. Like 西遊降魔, right?
yeah，或者係佢以前叫做《西遊記》，and
Oh,
then in China
yeah.
they call it《大話西遊》.
I
That
know.
one
I
is
know.
his best
The one
because
with
he
Young, right?
actually teaches people that you have to become a new version of yourself, to become a better version of yourself, to achieve
Yeah.
yeah better, not just by 走正面 or being
Feel
witty.
yeah.
So,
I think that
and
movie.
I remember, okay, so let me tell you a quick story. My friend, he loves God of Gambler. 佢鍾意賭聖. And then there's one scene when 賭聖 walk out with the music. The da-da-da-da,
Uh,
so my friend had that scene in his wedding. So he dressed like Stephen Chow with the tuxedo and walk out with that music, and then holding like four decks of aces. Then everybody laughing, and it's winning.
really.
Yeah,
He's really into Stephen Chow then.
yeah, yeah,
That's very interesting. I think he's definitely a cultural icon. There's no denying that he's definitely a cultural icon, and he has ascended to such a uh, symbolic level that Stephen Chow's movies is such a like collective memory for all of us.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I think they are so great in the sense that they are funny, they are drop dead funny, but at the same time, they can be painfully realistic. And they, if you watch them repeated times, sometimes you feel how philosophical they are can be as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's very interesting. And I think I like a lot of the movies, 逃學威龍 and what else? 賭聖 I also like. Uh, some 仙履奇緣 yeah, as you mentioned, 西遊記
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and what else? When I was young, I watched like 行運一條龍 and when one about the trickster, the person who always tricks others, 整蠱專家 and I think
整蠱專家.
that's
Oh,
also
okay,
funny. Yeah, and later 喜劇之王 I think I watched that and
okay.
美味 I don't know, like the one about food. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. 你鍾唔鍾意嗰個功夫足球?
I somehow I don't like that one. Maybe it's because uh, it's got to a point where it tries very hard to be motivational. Then I don't like it.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
don't I don't want him to try to be motivational. I
Yeah,
want
that's true. That's true.
you know what I mean,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Because the good ones, he is always like just he's like being stupid in a way. It's just like he focused on the jokes. So I think those are his earlier movies. Why they're kind of successful is he didn't try to preach. He was not that preachy. So he would just try to
Yeah,
make us laugh, right?
exactly. And I think movies can be philosophical, but I usually don't like movies that try to preach. And Kung Fu and Kung Fu 足球, I think the two movies, right? Like there are two movies, Kung Fu and Kung Fu 足球. I think I watched both of them, but somehow I like his old works better.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, but there's not denying that he's great and he's a superb actor. He's super professional. Yeah, but by the way, some may argue that 佢私德唔好啊. Like in private life, he's probably an awful person. I don't know. Like or
uh,
saying that he's probably an
yeah,
awful
we
person.
never know, right? We will never know. We will never know.
Um, there are interviews with Mandat, yeah, that so, and
Yeah,
for some reason that so and him, there's a lot of argument and Okay. For some reason, hi everyone. Can you guys hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay. For some reason, there's this intermittent electrical outage at my home, and
Wow.
so very weird. Since last night, there has been like instances of like intermittent electrical outage. So we were talking about Stephen Chow, right? Anything else that we want to add about Stephen Chow? Maybe we'll talk more about movies next time.
Yeah, maybe we can save it for the future.
Yeah, definitely. So glad to be talking to you guys. And remember, we are having a 3-week spoken English challenge in December. So if you guys are interested in joining us, please WhatsApp us at 6610418. And I'm trying to see if I'm able to share the poster to you guys right now. Wait a second. Okay. Okay, it looks like that I can. Can you guys see the poster right now? Yeah? Okay. So the spoken English challenge with me and Steve will start on the 6th of December from 7:30 to 8:30 and from 8:45 to 9:45, and it only costs 999 per person to join this challenge. So it's going to be a very useful and fruitful and rewarding experience. I do believe that if you want to improve your spoken English and speak as fluently as we do, you should sign up for this challenge. If you want to do so, join now at 66270418. For those who are listening to this podcast, feel free to WhatsApp us and join us. Don't hesitate to do so because we're going to cover a bunch of topics from study to art to neighbors to all sorts of topics that are going to come up in daily conversations with native speakers. And Steve and I can help you guys out and prepare you for interactions and social conversations with foreigners, expats, and native speakers, English native speakers. So don't hesitate to sign up for the challenge. So I think that's it for today's podcast. And see you guys next week.
All right,
Bye.
later.
Bye.